Hi, and welcome to another episode of All Things Considered. Tonight, I want to speak to you about something that has been happening a lot. I'm dealing with Seattle tonight, again, Seattle. For any of people that are viewing this video, you may have had similar things happen in your area. Because although I'm dealing with Seattle, there is a ton of things that happen in every city. Every city has, that's the thing that connects all cities. They have issues that don't get taken care of until it's too late. And in Seattle right now, it's the Seattle Children's Hospital and the mold that they had. And the hospital knew about the mold since 2005. But just like Seattle, just like they do all the time, Seattle sweeps things under the rug and puts it off and puts it off and gives it to somebody else, and they keep it under the rug. They don't deal with it. They hope it'll just go away. And now the Seattle Children's Hospital has a flurry of lawsuits happening. There's 6 patients that came from as far as Alaska. They range in age from 17-year-old girl to a 2-month-old boy. Binding them together, harm they endured after a stay at Seattle Children's Hospital, according to 3 lawsuits filed Monday. The complaints against children began to tell the human stories behind the failures its executives disclosed 2 weeks ago, acknowledging the hospital's air handling systems likely led to mold-based infections in 14 patients over 18 years. 6 of those patients died. As the hospital's operating rooms remain closed, lawyers in one of those lawsuits claims the number of infected patients is much higher. Yes, it is much higher. They are rounding down the numbers to make it seem less because they don't want it to be an epidemic. They don't want people to get all frustrated and upset and angry and pissed off because Seattle does like it's been doing for the last, well, since I would say 1998. Sweeping things under the rug, putting things off, passing the buck, moving on, hoping that people will just forget about it, and therefore it will not be dealt with anymore. It'll just take care of itself. As the hospital's operating rooms remain closed, lawyers in one of those lawsuits claim the number of infected patients is much higher. Dozens, if not hundreds, attorney Brad Moore said. The lawsuit, which seeks class action status, was filed on behalf of 4 children of their estates, all of whom claimed they were sickened by the mold, known as Aspergillus, at the hospital between 2005 and 2017. None was older than 11. The family of an 11-year-old boy filed a separate lawsuit claiming he was infected during surgery in March of 2019 with Aspergillus, which wasn't diagnosed until May of 2019. A third lawsuit alleges that a 4-year-old boy required a second brain surgery in May to remove a synthetic patch because children deemed him to be at a high risk for Aspergillus mold exposure during his surgery. I'm going to say this. I'm giving the Seattle Children's Hospital the long finger of shame. Shame, shame, shame on you. And shame on Seattle and the city council for allowing this to happen. The city council knew about it. They're going to say they didn't, but they knew about it. And the ones that run the Seattle Children's Hospital knew about it too. Shame, shame on you. The long finger of shame. And may you all get coal in your stockings this winter for Christmas. We are incredibly sorry for the hurt experienced by these families and regret that recent developments have caused additional grief, said hospital spokeswoman Karen Mueller. Out of respect for privacy, we do not intend to share details about our patients or comment on specific cases or legal actions. No, that is not out of respect to the patients. That is not out of respect to privacy. That is to cover your ass. Yes, to cover your ass. The reason you guys are covering your ass is because you knew about this and you didn't take care of it because it would cost too much money. Yes, it would cost too much money. I know. I used to live in Seattle and I used to work in Seattle and I know all the ins and outs of this shit. I am really, really pissed off and perturbed. And I'm telling you, and I've told this to people before, in 2025, I plan on running for mayor. I really do. I plan, and you guys probably think to yourself, oh, he's just some bozo getting on a video and just shooting his mouth off. No, I'm not. I love Seattle. I will move back to Seattle in the next year, and I will be well known when the next election for Seattle City, when the next election for the Seattle mayor happens. That is when I will move to Seattle. And from that time to 2023, 2024, I plan on getting to know. From that time to that time, I'm going to let everybody know who I am. I'm going to let them know what I'm running on, what platform I believe in, what I want to do to fix Seattle, how I want to help Seattle, and how I want Seattle to become a much better place. Seattle used to be a really nice place to live. And stuff like this wasn't happening. Stuff like this, the children's hospital and the mold, and the people dying, and the children getting sick and infected. That shit wasn't happening before. It wasn't happening until all these foreign objects decided to converge onto Seattle. Now, I'm not going to blame everybody that's moved into Seattle. Some of you, I'm sure, are really nice people. But I am going to say this, that the Children's Hospital used to be a great place if you needed to get fixed up and patched up and become well. It says here, Aspergillus infections at the Seattle Children's Hospital, 2001, was number of infected infants was 1. 2002 was 1, 2. No, this can't be right. Source, this is OC. Okay, this is source from Seattle Children's Hospital. Okay, I'm not going to trust their source. I will look this up and I will try to put a comment. I will try to put it in the description below, but I'm not promising you nothing. It may take me a little while and I may revisit this video. I might. It says here, Children's is racing to revamp its air handling systems to control the mold problem that it now says dates back to 2001. Not 2005, 2001. Okay, you don't want to control the mold problem. You want to fix the mold problem and make sure that nothing like that happens again. You want to get in there and get it checked on. We have the technology, people. It's not like we're nomads or cavemen. No offense to any cavemen out there that may be watching this video. I do not mean to offend you. But I'm just saying that we have the technology to fix this shit. Why don't we just get in there and fix it? It is installing custom-built air filtration systems to each operating room, which hospital CEO Dr. Jeff Spearing called the highest level of filtration found in operating rooms today. No, you need to get filtration systems that are higher than anything found in hospitals today, because these are children that are going to grow up to maybe be doctors and lawyers and policemen and firemen and city council and possibly president of the United States. While the hospital now says it struggles with Aspergillus, their dates back nearly 2 decades. They only became widely known this year. Widely known this year, no. Things were drawn attention to this year. That's why it's widely known this year. As long as it was under the blanket and nobody talked about it, they didn't care. In 2007, Children's published an internal investigation of 3 Aspergillus infections and concluded they were isolated incidents. Yes, because y'all isolated them. Unlikely caused by airborne mold in operating rooms. Aspergillus is a common mold that most people breathe daily without getting sick, but its risks to hospital patients have been known for decades. That is true. Us grown-ups that are in great shape, that are in physical fitness, that are physically fit, are in better physical fitness than a lot of people that are in hospitals, we can fight that kind of stuff off. We breathe it and it's not that big of a deal. But when you're inside the hospital and you're getting worked on, operated on and that such, the mold, if a mold spore was to float through the air and it was to migrate to something in your system, that could really be deadly. Aspergillus is a common mold that most people breathe daily without getting sick, but its risk to hospital patients has been known for decades. Patients with lung disease or weakened immune systems especially, organ or stem cell transplant patients are at higher risk of developing aspergillosis. In the most serious cases, symptoms range from a fever to coughing up blood, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Only in May, after Children's identified a series of recent Aspergillus infections, did it publicly announce it was closing operating rooms. Last month, Children again said it was closing some operating rooms, then all of its operating rooms as it installs custom-built air filtration systems. And if these people had not gotten sick, and if a lawsuit hadn't been filed, Children's, would you be fixing the problem? I would hope so, but my gut and my heart and my brain and all the logic in me is telling me that you would not have. You would have pushed it under the rug again. And by building all these air filtration systems, how much is it going to cost the patients that come in there? Because you guys ain't going to eat that cost. I know better. Y'all ain't going to eat that cost. You guys are going to take that cost and you're going to turn around and pass it off to the consumer. The family of one patient, a teenage football player, filed suit in late October, alleging the hospital failed to take reasonably prudent measures to prevent Aspergillus from infecting their son, leaving him disabled. Children's legal exposure escalated with the filing Monday of 3 separate lawsuits in King County Superior Court, which spanned cases over more than a decade. The lawsuit seeking class action status alleges that hospital management engaged in a years-long cover-up designed to reassure its patients, doctors, and nurses and the public that its premises were safe when in fact they were not. The youngest of the patients, which I will not give the name of due to privacy, was born with a half of a heart. After cardiac surgery in 2005, he suffered an aneurysm caused by an Aspergillus infection. He died the next month. That breaks my heart. Ian Gunnell, 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 an 11-year-old boy, was treated at Children's in 2008 for a rare form of blood cell cancer. After surgery, he was infected with Aspergillus that caused an eye infection and interfered with his cancer treatments, the lawsuit contends. You know, I told you earlier that I wasn't going to say who the person was out of respect. Well, I'm going to tell you who the person's name was because I think they should be thought about and prayed on. And hopefully their death does not be in vain. The youngest of the patients was Logan Schaefer. He was born with half a heart. Aiden Wills, age 3, came to Children's. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Ian Gunnell, an 11-year-old boy, was treated at Children's in 2008 for a rare form of blood cell cancer. After surgery, he was infected with Aspergillus that caused an eye infection and interfered with his cancer treatment. It doesn't claim that the infection caused his death the next year, but it's more than likely that it did, and all logical conclusion goes to that end. Aiden Willis, age 3, came to Children's with a rare disorder that required a bone marrow transplant. After an operation in January of 2009, he was diagnosed with an Aspergillus infection that hampered his treatment. Why in the holy holies of holies are you guys allowing this to still happen? The hospital, they know what's going on. They have to be taking notes here. One person dies, another Aspergillus, all this stuff, and you guys are just writing it off like it's not important. Y'all are treating us. You're all treating this like Donald Trump's tweets. It's just Trump being Trump. Oh, it's just a hospital being the hospital. No, y'all should have shut this down when it first happened. When they first got Aspergillus, that's when you should have shut it down, instead of trying to cover it up. This isn't TV. This is real life. People are dying in your hospital. Make it right. Make it right so nobody else dies. This isn't just Seattle. There's hospitals all over the United States that have the same thing happening. Something happens, somebody gets infected, and they die. And somebody else gets infected from the same thing and they die. This is an epidemic that's happening. And because of the bottom line, you all are sweeping the problem under the rug and hoping that nobody trips over the bump. Fix it. I don't want to have to do another video about this, but I will if I have to. I don't care if anybody watches this video or not. This is important. And if even one person watches this video and it turns their head around and they step out and they stand up and say, the hospital should not allow this to happen anymore, then my goal has been met. My objective has been met. This video, this goes on and on and on. I could talk about this forever, but I'm going to let you go on that note. I think I've told enough to give you the bird's eye view of what's going on here. If you have an idea about this video or you know more info about this video, please put it in a comment below. I would love to talk to you about it. Maybe you can enlighten somebody on something that I don't know about. If you have an idea for another video that I can possibly do that you think would benefit the people and you would like to hear about it, please put a comment below. I would love to be able to help you on that if I can. Anybody that responds to my videos and puts a comment, I will respond in like kind. Also, if you are just an angry person that wants to gripe, you can do that, but please be respectful as much as possible. I don't care if it's negative. I don't care if it's positive. I prefer positive. But if it is negative and you want to leave a comment, I will do the best I can to help you maybe turn that frown upside down. If you like my videos, please hit the thumbs up. I can't do it without you. This is a experiment, and I'm hoping that it pays off in the long run. If you want to subscribe to my videos, please hit the subscribe button wherever it's located at. And again, to the hospital, Seattle Children's, long finger of shame. Anyway, I'm going to let you go on that note. This has been All Things Considered. Have a good night, Seattle, America, and all points beyond.